Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now today's video is basically going to be me talking about the current state of my Great One grinding, looking for my second Great One. I have had some really cool kills over the past couple of days and actually got to complete a couple of really nice multi-mounts for the lodge. So I figured that I would just put all of these together in one video, seeing as they were all from the whitetail grind, and basically just talk about how the grind is going. And yeah, I have shot a lot of whitetail now into the second grind. I'm guessing between 900 and 1,000 in the past week. And yeah, it's been really interesting because I did the first grind and getting the Great One. It's been interesting to kind of carry over the knowledge that I got in that first grind over to this grind. And actually, I've been a lot more efficient with taking out larger numbers of whitetail. And I've had a really, really good, like I said, good few days. I had 3 level 3s one day, 2 level 3s another day, and out of those, 4 of them actually did make diamonds. So that's really not bad at all. And I've had a couple of other diamonds. I've had some really cool rares, as I said. So it seems like, as well as being more efficient, that I seem to really be doing quite well on the second grind, and I'm hoping that it will pay off. I am going to keep grinding Leighton really hard on the whitetail until the new map comes out, and then I will see about maybe either switching or running the new map alongside this map. But I don't know, we'll have to see what the whitetail are like on that map. TK did say that there's a lot of whitetail on that map compared to Leighton, so it'll be interesting to see. But I'm really looking to try and get at least 1 or 2 more Great Ones if I can. I know it's a really far-fetched dream, but I have seen someone that's done it, and I kind of want to do it because I really would like a Great One Huddle. I think it looks really cool, and I'm more than prepared to put in the work and shoot all the whitetail because I actually don't find it that bad, to be honest. Now I know how they're working at the minute with their respawns and exactly what to do with them. I found it a lot easier. So with zones where it becomes doe only and there's no bucks, I'll shoot one doe and then shoot the second doe until it basically just becomes either one doe or the bucks respawn. And if it just becomes one doe, then I'll shoot that doe, and then the zone will disappear, and then I'll go and look for that zone in a new location. And knowing things like that, because the whitetail are broken with how they respawn, sometimes you'll have a big herd of whitetail, and as you shoot them, they don't respawn back to the same zone. So there's some weird stuff going on with it. So it is very much knowing what you're doing kind of thing really does actually pay off. And knowing things like, you saw I shot 2 bucks there with the M1 and then 2 with the 300 that were running. I do use the 300 on whitetail when grinding when they're running away and I just want to get numbers down, because you can see here that I managed to get 2 bucks down with the M1 and then managed to drop a further 2 bucks with the 300 that maybe with the M1 I wouldn't have quite dropped them, because you can see there that's intestines and liver. But with the 300 it drops them, which saves a lot of time, and if it's not like a level 3, then why not use that and try and get as many bucks down as possible, because the more bucks you get down, the more chances of getting a Great One or a rare to respawn there are. So, looking at the map, I want to talk about some of the zone things that have been going on. I have had some new zones appear, like this one here on Balmont Lake, and this one I actually really like. It's actually quite consistently over the past couple of days producing about 2 bucks per run. I have 2 whitetail zones here, even though one of them does say moose, and those ones are quite nice because they are so close together. I can sort of stand in between the 2 and shoot the bucks out of those ones. I've got all the zones along the bottom that I had before down here. I actually have had a level 3 down here now, but I hate that zone. It's really hard to get to. My hidden lake zone is gone, but I have a zone here that's still producing bucks fairly regularly, which is good. Have this little zone here that's appeared, which I like because it's easy to access. This zone here has also appeared, which is an odd one to actually get to, but it is pretty consistently giving 1 or 2 bucks per run. This zone here I like because of just how easy it is and how simple it is to get there. This zone I have to sneak up to it and actually go into that blind that's opposite it, because of the wind is always really bad, and every time I get into the blind, as long as I give a couple of calls, I can get them out, but they'll be alert within a couple of seconds, and then I can take the shots. That's a whitetail zone, even though it says jackrabbit, and that's a whitetail zone. Sometimes they're not at both of those; they're at one instead of the other. The zones that you can see there that I've been shooting. I have a new zone that's appeared actually last night, just here. They weren't at this lake for a little while, and then they were, and then yeah, so they're back there now. So a few different zones there that have appeared, and then I've got this one that's really nice on the coast. I actually really like this zone, even though I have to sneak quite slowly into the tree stand I've put there. But here's from some clips from some of those zones now from the past couple of days. You may recall that in the first Great One grind I got a pretty nice melanistic whitetail buck. Now, melanistic is the rarer fur type for the whitetail, from what I have been told. It seems to be, from what I've seen as well, that it's piebald, then albino, then melanistic being the rarest. But that could be wrong, but that just seems to be how it is, and from what has been said several times, that melanistic tends to be the rarer fur type. And I spotted that guy up in those, basically under the shadow, and I wasn't sure if it was just the lighting or if he was melanistic. Gave him a couple of calls, he came right out there into the sunlight, and you can see that that is very much definitely a melanistic whitetail buck, and a decent sized one to boot. And I love melanistics. They're probably one of my favourite, like, rare fur types for any animal. Melanistics just look really cool with the jet black fur. And you saw there, I actually managed to down the other buck that was with him. That is always something that I try to do. Like, I will always try and get a second shot on a second animal, or even a third animal. Even if it's not the best shot, it's all about actually hitting them and getting them down, even if it takes a couple of minutes if it's a poor shot. Because you could see there he'd almost ducked out of the way of that shot, and it clipped a bit low, but it still got him pretty quickly. I just had to take a screenshot of this melanistic though, because how gorgeous is that? Like, just the jet black with almost like red eyes, and that's a decent size set of antlers. Not my favourite rack by far, but it's a melanistic buck. I can't complain, like, at all. I've not had that many red does during this. Which is obviously to be expected considering I'm shooting mainly bucks, but when I've had to cull does, you'd expect more rare does, but I've actually had more rare bucks than anything else. And yeah, you can see he did actually just make gold, so that is a gold melanistic, which is really, really cool. I am so, so happy to have that. Because like I said, just look how gorgeous that is. And I knew at this point that I already had one melanistic, and I actually made a joke to a couple of friends saying, oh, how funny would it be if I could get a third melanistic during this and have an all melanistic whitetail huddle. Well, you'll see later in the video how that turned out. But I'm just really pleased to have a really nice size melanistic, because that's something that not a lot of people have. You know, like I said, these are actually properly rare. Now, back at the zone that I actually started this video at, there is another level 3 respawn, and I have had so many good respawns over the past couple of days, it's been insane. But then I have spent almost all day, every day for the past 6 or 7 days just pretty much shooting whitetail. I've had only a couple of basically only gone into multiplayer a couple of times just to break the cycle of constantly shooting whitetail. But yeah, it's been mainly whitetail grinding. And you can see there I actually did shoot 2 bucks and downed them quite well, including the level 3. This little small level 2, I clipped him not very well. You can see he's kind of limping there as he runs off, but his health was dropping, so that's all that matters. As I said, getting the numbers down is the really important thing. Because the way I like to think of grinding for respawns is it's like rolling 3 dice and trying to get 3 sixes. And if you land on all 3 sixes, then you get a rare or a great one or a diamond spawn. So every time you shoot a buck, you roll 3 dice for that respawn, and if all 3 land on, you know, the 6, then you get something good. And that's basically the way that I've been explaining it to people, and to me that's the only way I can rationalise it, because it is basically just a random chance that something good respawns. Like, I've had good respawns from small bucks, I've had bad respawns from big bucks, you know, I've had level 3s that respawn, or when I go back there, rather, there's only a small buck there instead of, you know, at least a decent sized one. Which, again, it does seem that these zones have become a bit random in terms of Basically, like, it's like you can shoot bucks maybe at, say, this zone, and then I'll shoot bucks at another zone, and then they just get sort of randomly assigned between those zones. It's not like, oh, you shot a decent sized buck there, we'll put that size buck back, sort of thing. I hope that makes sense. That's why I paused there, just to try and give a bit of explanation before I pick this guy up. It's quite a decent sized looking buck on the ground, and yep, sure enough, he's actually a quite decent sized diamond. 97 kgs on the dot and 262.20. Quite a nice looking buck. I actually really like this frame. I'm a bigger fan of the sort of thicker, more mass antlers. And yeah, he's quite a nice looking one out of some of the ones I've had. Because some of the smaller ones are quite wiry looking, but I really like this rack. He's also got quite a nice spread, which is just really nice to see. But you can see there, 255 is diamond requirement, so he is quite a little bit over that, and that's always really nice to see. Seeing a level 3 respawn is always really encouraging for me, because you can see that he was a 97 kg buck. You know, if he respawns, say, 4 kilos bigger, that's a great one. It's only a small great one, but it's a great one. And I'm really not bothered what kind of great one rack I get. If I get a small one, if I get perhaps even a bigger one, I don't mind. I just would like to potentially get a different rack. That would be cool. And I actually really like some of the smaller racks. And here you can see another level 3 that I actually shot in one of the zones I absolutely hate, because you can see the amount of brush here. I normally chase all the whitetail out of this zone and then basically shoot them with the 300 as they're running away. But I spotted the level 3 in here, so of course I had to sort of wait for a good shot on him. But really thick antlers on this guy, and this is a 264, and yeah, that shot was just good. But yeah, really thick antlered one, and this one took quite a while to actually get because of, like I said, that zone is horrible. But like, he's got like pointy tines on one side and rounded tines on the other. This is a rack that I hadn't had, so it was really nice to see, because I do like these big, sort of thicker frames. And you can see there he's 98.47 kg. So yeah, he's only got to respawn a few kgs bigger, and that could be a great one. And there has been a great one rack I've seen recently that is basically like a really big typical with like a really heavy frame, and I kind of like it. There's several. I think all the great ones look cool, to be honest. But this buck here, I could not tell if that was melanistic. I was like, that looks mela, but it could just be the lighting. I wasn't sure, and that second buck actually sort of dodged as I was taking that shot, and as he dipped down, the bullet clipped his spine, so he died fairly quickly, but it wasn't the lung shot I was looking for. But it doesn't matter, he wasn't the important one to get down. But as I was running over to him, you can see this was very clearly melanistic, and this was the day after I shot that other melanistic, the gold one. So I was like, oh wow, I actually have 3 melanistics, so I can make an all melanistic whitetail huddle for the lodge. I did sadly end up losing this zone a couple of runs after, because there was 3 bucks and I shot at all 3 and a doe ducked in the way, and then I shot the other buck, and so that meant level 4 hunting pressure, which deleted the zone, which was a shame. But it didn't take me very long to find where they'd moved to. They'd moved to one of the lakes I showed earlier. But yeah, that was really cool. And then I've had a couple of really weird bucks over the past couple of days, and I thought I would put these in this video. They're not rares, they're not diamonds, but they're just weird. And I actually kind of like them, and that's why I actually recorded them, because I like the actual influence of the tree racks and getting these kind of non-typical looking bucks, because this one especially, I think, was probably the weirder of the two. And as he ran past me, I knew that something was different about it. I couldn't tell what. And then he got into these reeds, and I thought, oh, I'll just pop a shot and hopefully that will actually kill him. And it did. It dropped him on the spot with an actual vital shot. But he was just such a weird looking buck. You can see there on the ground that antler is really weird. But in the harvest screen, it's even more evident. Like, that antler is almost like drooping over his head. It's like just such a weird looking antler. Like, I don't think I've seen a rack with 2 of those antlers ever, so it's really interesting to see that variety. I would love to get a rare with this antler, like this antler configuration. How cool would it look to have a piebald or an albino or melanistic with that kind of rack? It's just so strange. It's so strange looking. So I just had to actually put him in a video and show him off. And then I actually went to one of my other zones and got another really weird looking whitetail respawn. Again, not perhaps quite as weird, but again, it's just like got one really droopy antler. So I shot the better looking buck first, and then I knew that I'd actually get a shot on him. Something that you may notice I do, and it is a big tip for anyone grinding whitetail, is if you have two bucks that are in the same zone and you're trying to shoot two of them using the M1, wait for the buck that you want to shoot second to start drinking and have its head down. Because if you watch, when I then go to take the shot on that second one, it slowly lifts its head, sort of it almost like registering what's going on before it flees. So make sure that the one that you're shooting, it doesn't matter if that one's got its head up or down, but the second one that you want to shoot should have its head down before you take that shot, because it just makes them so much slower at fleeing, as you could see in this video. So yeah, that's a really big tip if you're trying to get more whitetail down. But yeah, this guy, again, it was like kind of like the other one, but just a bigger kind of frame, I guess. But just a really odd looking buck, like it's almost stretched more forwards and definitely a lot lower. But again, I don't think I've seen a whitetail with two of these antlers, so I guess it's pretty rare to actually see them like that. And then last night at one of my zones, I got another piebald buck, and again, it was only a small one. My piebald bucks have all been really small, but the thing is that this whitetail grind has taught me is just how much rarer some of these rares are than perhaps I would have thought from multiplayer hopping. Because in multiplayer, I saw quite a few piebalds, but actually, out of all of the whitetail I've shot, and I estimate that now across both grinds to so far be between 1,500 and 2,000, and I would expect it to be closer to the 2,000 now. That I've actually only had like 3 or 4 piebalds in total. Actually, I think it was probably 3 piebald bucks now and a couple of piebald does. So they're a lot rarer than I perhaps would have initially thought from what I'd found in multiplayer. So yeah, maybe I've had 3 melanistics and let's say 5 piebalds. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. 2 does and the bucks. So yeah, they're a lot rarer than I would have initially thought. And I actually really like the piebald whitetail, and I thought, now I have 3 piebald bucks, I can make an all piebald multi-mount. Like, they're not big, but if I get a bigger one, I can swap it out. But to have, 2 rare huddles is pretty cool. And then last night I got something that I have been looking for this entire grind, and that is an albino whitetail buck. Like I said, I have had, let's say, 5 piebalds and 3 melanistics, and not a single albino. In fact, I got a great one to spawn before I got an albino to spawn. And from what I've heard, these are not the rarest of the rare for whitetail. Like I said, melanistic is supposed to be pretty much the rarest fur type. So you would have thought that I would have had more albinos than melanistics, but it just goes to show how random the spawns actually are. You can't really predict it in those ways, like, oh, this is more common, you should have more of those than this variation. So it's really, really interesting, and like I said, it's given me a better appreciation of just how rare these guys are, and I'm really happy to have like all 3 rares now for whitetail. I made the joke that now all I need is 2 more whitetail albinos and I can have all 3 rares as huddles. So I'll have an all melanistic, all piebald, and an all albino huddle, which would be pretty cool. But this is the start of that, so it's always like, it's a far-fetched dream maybe to have all 3 rare huddles, but I've got 2 out of 3 done and the first piece of the last one done, so who knows? Because no one knows how many whitetail I've got to shoot before the great one appears again, if it ever does. I could shoot 2 more and then it appear, or I could shoot 300 more or 2,000 more and it, then appear. But I just thought I'd show off the huddle mounts I was talking about in the lodge. So this is, of course, the all piebald one, and you can see what I mean about the quality of my piebald bucks. They've all been really small. But then you have the Melanistic mount, which I think is probably the cooler one of the two, because you don't see a lot of Melanistic whitetail, and to have three, actually two decent sized bucks and sort of one mid tier buck, it's like, yeah, that just looks really awesome. And then of course you've got the great one there in Pride of Place, and I thought that that looked quite nice having all the whitetail together like that. And then this room I've changed up a bit from being a Leighton room to pretty much a whitetail room. You can see how many diamonds I have here. Just check through and make sure I have no more diamonds to put up. No. So this is all diamonds from grinding, and I think there's one in here from a multiplayer when I was looking for a great one in multiplayer. So you can see just how many diamonds are actually here. So there's 4 on that wall, and then you've got 3 in the huddle, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the wall there. So yeah, several diamond whitetail. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll see where this second Great One grind takes us, and how many more rares and diamonds, and maybe we'll get lucky and find a great one again. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon.